Saitō Makoto, 27 October 1858–26 February 1936, was a Japanese maritime official and lawmaker. After separating himself during his order of 2 cruisers in the Main Sino-Japanese Conflict, Saitō rose quickly to the position of back chief of naval operations by 1900. He was elevated to bad habit chief of naval operations during the Russo-Japanese Conflict in 1904. Subsequent to filling in as priest of the naval force from 1906 to 1914, Saitō stood firm on the foothold of lead Representative General of Korea from 1919 to 1927 and again from 1929 to 1931. At the point when Inukai Tsuyoshi was killed in May 1932, he had his spot as top state leader and served 1 term in office. Saitō got back to public help as ruler-manager of the Privy Seal in February 1935, yet was killed just a year after the fact during the February 26 episode. Saitō was the last previous state leader to be killed until 2022, with the death of Shinzo Abe. In 1884, Saitō went to the US for quite some time to concentrate as a military attaché. Elevated to lieutenant on July 14, 1886. In 1888, in the wake of getting back to Japan, he filled in as an individual from the Supreme Japanese Naval Force General Staff. After his advancement to lieutenant commandant on December 20, 1893, he filled in as top dog on the cruiser Izumi and warship Fuji. During the Main Sino-Japanese Conflict, Saitō filled in as chief of the cruisers Akitsushima and Itsukushima. He got quick advancements to officer on December 1, 1897 and to chief on December 27. On November 10, 1898, he became bad habit clergyman of the naval force, and was elevated to raise chief naval officer on May 20. 1900. Saitō was again bad habit naval force clergyman toward the beginning of the Russo-Japanese Conflict. He was elevated to bad habit chief naval officer on June 6, 1904. He was granted the request for the Rising Sun, first class, in 1906. After the finish of the conflict, he filled in as naval force priest for a very long time, from 1906 to 1914, during which time he ceaselessly took a stab at extension of the naval force. On September 21, 1907, Saitō was praised with the title of Danshoku, Noble, under the Kazoku peerage framework. On October 16, 1912, he was elevated to full chief naval officer. Notwithstanding, on April 16, 1914, Saitō had to leave his post as naval force pastor due ramifications of his contribution in the Seamen's outrage, and formally entered the stores. In September 1919, Saitō was delegated as the 3rd Japanese-led Representative General of Korea, ascending to the post just after the zenith of the Korean freedom development. He was dependent upon a quick death endeavor by Kang Charm-kyu, an extreme Korean patriot. He filled in as lead Representative General of Korea 2 times in 1919 to 1927, and again in 1929 to 1931. Carrying out a progression of measures to direct Japan's strategies on Koreans. He was granted the request for the Paulownia Blossoms in 1924. On April 29, 1925, his title was raised to that of Shishaku, Viscount. In 1927, Saitō was an individual from the Japanese designation at the Geneva Maritime Gathering on Demilitarization, and he later turned into a privy councillor. Following the death of top state leader Inukai Tsuyoshi on May 15, 1932 by obsessive naval officials who thought Inukai very placating. The May 15 episode. Ruler Senji Kinmoshi, one of the head's nearest and most grounded counselors, endeavored to stop the slide towards a tactical takeover of the public authority. In a trade-off move, Saitō was decided to be Inukai's replacement. Sadao Araki stayed as war priest and quickly started setting expectations for the new government. During Saito's residency, Japan perceived the freedom of Manchukuo and pulled out from the class of countries. Saito's organization was one of the more extended-serving ones of the between-war period, and it went on until July 8, 1934. When the Bureau surrendered altogether in light of the Taijin episode Payoff Embarrassment. Keisuke Okada prevailed as state leader. Saitō kept on being a significant figure in governmental issues as master manager of the Privy Seal from December 26, 1935, yet was killed during the February 26 occurrence of 1936 at his home in Yotsuya, Tokyo. Takahashi, his ancestor, was shot dead that very day, alongside a few other high-level government officials designated by the revolutionaries. Saitō was post-mortem granted the incomparable request of the chrysanthemum.